Family and Consumer Sciences Extension at the University of Kentucky. Our agents share research knowledge with individuals, families, and communities to improve quality of life. Building strong families, building Kentucky. It starts with us.
Hello, I am Vicki Wynn with the Marshall County Extension Office. I'm the Family and Consumer Sciences agent, and I'm bringing you programs about home and family. And today we're going to talk about gifts from the kitchen. In times of waiting and worrying, and I think we're doing a lot of that these days, it is somewhat peaceful and useful to gather ingredients and make something to give to someone. So we want to look at some of the things that we can make and give to those we care about. And I want to stress food safety foremost when giving gifts of food or gifts from the kitchen. We want to make sure that we are handling things properly and that we include instructions on how to properly store and prepare these items. The first thing we want to look at are items that need to either be refrigerated or frozen. We have some cookie dough that has been prepared to the point of ready to bake. And these are done so that you can give them in a package. They can be taken out, put on a baking tray, and baked. And of course, always include instructions, because when we give a gift of food that the recipient is going to need to prepare, they need proper instructions. So always include the temperature, always include the baking time. So these are handy gifts to have on hand. You can keep them in the freezer. And when you prepare the cookie dough, you can scoop it out using a portion scoop and put it out on a baking sheet. Put it in the freezer for about an hour and they'll harden enough that you can place them in containers. You can even put them in a zipper bag, put back in the freezer and keep until you need to give that as a gift. So these are just a couple of ideas using cookie dough ready to bake. And we also have cookie dough that's ready to bake, but this one can be given with a portion scoop, with the recipe, with instructions on how to bake. But portion scoops are such a nice gift. They really make handy work in the kitchen. And this makes for a good combination. A container of the cookie dough ready to scoop and bake and have hot, fresh baked cookies without a lot of fuss. You know, we all enjoy these kinds of things, but it is a chore to get all of the ingredients out, the measuring tools and the bowls and all the things that go into putting this together. But when you give it as a gift to someone, all that hard work and mess is already taken care of, and all they have to do is just bake and enjoy. So there we have the cookie dough in a container with the portion scoop. Another gift that would need to be refrigerated is the caramel apple kit. And a lot of times I would make my own caramel sauce, but this one is a little bit easier and a lot more accessible. You put the candy caramels that are individually wrapped in your container, and also has the chocolate candy bits that are in there. Then you just top it with a red apple or a green apple, whatever is in season. And then of course the instructions. So this one is caramel apple in a jar. It has the step-by-step instructions how your recipient can enjoy that. But it's recommended to keep this in the refrigerator until it is ready to use. So your instructions would need to include that bit of information. Also, we have some flavored butter. A lot of people enjoy hot dinner rolls or bread with some flavored butter. This one is the cinnamon honey butter, and it's very easy to make. It makes several containers, and you can put it in lots of different types of jars. There are so many types of jars available now for your gift giving, or you can keep jars that you've emptied with things that you've used up, and use that jar again to make a nice gift container. So a lot of times you might want to put your ingredients listed in case there's a food allergy. You might want to put instructions on to keep it in the refrigerator. And we say that a gift like this needs to be used in about 4 weeks. So that could be included on the instructions as well. So flavored butters are very, very popular, and recipients are always glad to get that extra little gift with that. Also, we've got some salsa that I'm going to talk about, foods that need to be processed, but once that salsa is opened, it would need to stay in the refrigerator as well. So you could put this in a basket with some of the chips, and these nice holiday chips are fun to give, and that makes a neat basket with another refrigerated item. So we've talked about the importance of refrigerated items with having good instructions. They need to be used within 4 weeks. We recommend even with the frozen cookie dough that it's used. Cookie dough actually would stay in the freezer for about 6 months, but if it's transitioned to the refrigerator, because it does have raw eggs in it, we need to go ahead and cook that and prepare it according to the directions. Another type of food preservation is processed by what we would consider water bath canning. And jams and jellies are very, very popular gifts from the kitchen. And what you have here is the jam and jelly maker that really takes a lot of the guesswork out of making homemade jams and jellies. We do have a jam and jelly maker here at the Extension office that's available for loan. So if you are interested in making your own gifts of jams and jellies, we have, I think, 3 of these here at the Extension office. And you're more than welcome to give us a call, and we would reserve that for you, and you could come by and pick it up. Of course, depending on your recipe, and there are some books available as well. We have these to loan, and this has a lot of good recipes for jams and jellies of different types, and even using frozen fruits and fruit juices. So when we think about preserving jams and jellies, we might think of the summertime or when fruits are in season, but there's also a way to go ahead and use what you have in the freezer or juices and make those gifts as well. Of course, we also have the Ball Blue Book that we highly recommend with tried and true recipes, and their information is research based, and as the University of Kentucky also endorses research-based information, we want to make sure that we are following the instructions, that we have a clear guide as to the procedures and the processes that we need to use when we are preparing these for gift giving. And of course, in using these methods, making your jam and jelly and then processing it in a water bath canner. We also have water bath canners here available for loan. And if you are interested in making some of the jams and jellies, we do have those that you can call and reserve, and we'd be more than happy for you to use those and safely process your jams and jellies for gift giving. And here are some that we have made in the last couple of seasons, but these would make a nice gift basket. You could group those in a basket, and even with some of your flavored butters would make a nice gift. But again, jam and jelly maker, water bath canner, we have those available, as well as the reference books to help you on your way. These are all items that are readily available in most extension offices. I've had people tell me that canners and canning supplies have been scarce this past year. If you have a stockpile, you're in luck, because some of the items have been hard to find. And yet we know that you can reuse canning jars. They need to be the approved canning jars. Of course, we can use some other jars for items that are not going to be going through the food processing stages, because we want to make sure when we're using the regulation canning jars that they will hold up to the processing, and there's no breakage and no issues when it comes to sealing. So we want to make sure, again, that safety is our primary goal in processing any of these. Dehydration is another form of extending shelf life, and actually dehydration is the oldest form of food preservation. We do have a food hydrator here at the Extension office that is available for loan as well. So if you find you're interested in dehydrating fruits or vegetables, or making fruit leathers, we have 2 of the dehydrators here available for use, and we would be more than happy for you to give us a call, and we would reserve that for your pickup. This is one of the items that I used the dehydrator for. It was dried oranges and apples, and then I added some cinnamon sticks and some cranberries, and this makes for a simmering potpourri that smells absolutely wonderful. So it has the instructions on the lid, and you can give this, makes a nice gift, and it makes a kitchen smell heavenly. This is just one of the many things that you can use a dehydrator for. You could also give a jar of mixed fruit. These are so good that are dehydrated, and you can cut those up and put them in trail mix. Again, the shelf life on things such as this that have been dehydrated is a very long time. It's really amazing how it can sit on the shelf for years and still be in 100% good quality stage. Spices, herbs and spices that you've grown. These are some dehydrated chives that I made. And just wanted to show you this little tip. The lids that come on Parmesan cheese, these may look familiar. They fit right on a canning jar. And you can use that in terms of dispensing that, and makes for a handy little gift. Also, of course, bean soup has been around a long time, and of course this is a gift of dried beans. So dried beans are essentially dehydrated to extend the shelf life for a very, very long time. So you can just layer all kinds of your favorite beans and enclose instructions on how to make soup, and extend the life of being able to give a gift that they may not need right away, and they can keep it on their shelf for quite some time. Also, this is a little bit different twist, marshmallows that have been dehydrated, and put that in a gift jar with some cocoa mix. And this would just be cocoa mix that you buy in a box that have individual packages, and Combine that with some of the dehydrated marshmallows, and you've got a quick little gift. And children especially enjoy getting the hot cocoa mix and adding those marshmallows and watching them puff up when they hit the liquid. So this is something that you also would include under dehydrated gifts. But keep in mind, we do have the jam and jelly maker, the water bath canner, and the food dehydrator available here at the office, and we'd be more than happy for you to borrow any of those. So we talked about things in the freezer, refrigerator, canned, and also dehydrated. A lot of these items have shelf life because they are shelf stable. These are some kits that I've put together that have different items in them that are shelf stable. And this one is a chicken tortilla soup mix. It has the can of chicken on the bottom. It has the tortillas, and I have put the tortillas in a zipper bag, and that keeps them from mixing in with the other ingredients, because the recipe will explain that the tortilla chips would need to be added at a later stage in the cooking process. But my rice and my chicken bouillon and all the spices are in the bottom, and it just has very, very simple instructions of what the recipient would need to do to complete that recipe. So makes it handy to have the can of chicken already cooked and processed and ready to add to that recipe. And this one is pancake mix, shake and pour pancake mix. And it has, of course, homemade pancake mix from flour, salt, sugar, and all those ingredients that make for homemade pancake batter. And all you do is add 2 cups of milk and then just shake it. After you've added the 2 cups of milk, it's ready to go. And also, if you wanted to include some maple syrup with that, makes for just an extra nice gift. You can have the pancake mix ready to go and the syrup. My husband has a client who lives in Michigan, and every time he comes down to fish, he brings us a quart jar of maple syrup that they have from their farm. And if I gave you some of this, you would know I think a lot of you, because that syrup is absolutely the best there is. And I tend to be a little bit stingy with it. This is something that, Saturday mornings or early Sunday mornings, we may get hungry for pancakes, but it's a little bit hectic, and you really don't want to take the time to get out all the ingredients and measure and mess up a lot of utensils and dishes. But all you have to do, add the 2 cups of milk, shake it, and pour, and you're ready to go. So that takes a lot of the work out of preparing those. These are candy chocolate chip cookies, and I've just layered those ingredients in, and I know you've seen a lot of these over the years, but they're still very popular gifts, and children love getting these, and they can mix them up. And again, we could give one of the portion scoops with this and make it just a complete gift to be ready to go. And the instructions, of course, I've got those here, what to heat the oven at and how long to let it bake. So all the instructions are there. It takes all the guesswork out of preparing those cookies. Friendship tea is so tasty. You could call it Christmas spice tea or friendship tea, but the instructions are on the label, and it tells us that you can combine 2 tablespoons of the mix with 1 cup of hot water. So this is a shelf-stable item, and it would be very convenient to have available. Just all you need is some hot water and a couple of tablespoons, and you're ready for a nice cup of hot tea. A lot of seasoning mixes are easy to make, and you have spices on hand, and it just doesn't take a lot of spices. But this is the ranch dressing mix. This is very much in demand when making soups and dips. It's very versatile. I know my taco soup that I make calls for ranch dressing mix. And this container, the instructions say add 3 tablespoons of mix to 1 cup of milk and 1 cup of mayonnaise or salad dressing. And then you have the equivalent of what a packet of ranch dressing mix would have. So if you're using it instead of your dry packet, then the equivalent would be those tablespoons, and you could just add that straight to your soup recipe. There's also recipes for Italian seasoning mix, Italian dressing mix, a lot of different spices and all that information. I wanted to add, we do have a publication here at the Extension office that has a lot of recipes for making your own mixes. So if you're interested, please contact the Extension office, and we're more than glad to mail that out to you, or you could stop by and pick it up. This is one that I think is very neat, very interesting, and all you add is some apple cider, but it's cranberry seasoning to go in with your apple cider, and it has the contents of this jar added to 8 cups of apple cider, and you simmer that on low for 20 minutes. So it has sugar and spices and some dried cranberries as well. And the type of sugar it calls for is the Turbinado Sugar. And it looks like this. If you've never used Turbinado Sugar, it is so tasty. It has more of a molasses flavor, and a lot of people might call this raw sugar, but actually it's not raw in the terms of the refining. It's only partially refined as compared to regular granulated sugar. But if you'll notice the brown color, that is the molasses that is part of the refining process. The molasses has not been removed. So it makes for a very tasty sugar. And a lot of people, in addition to using in like the spice mix for the apple cider, a lot of people enjoy putting this, they sprinkle it on top of their muffins before they bake them, or banana bread, blueberry muffins, lemon poppy seed muffins. It just adds another layer of flavor. So if you ever get the opportunity to try some of that, it usually comes in a 2-pound box. When we think about sugar, we think about a bag of sugar, but the Turbinado Sugar is quite different, and it comes in a 2-pound box. The last thing that I have here on the shelf stable items is a brownie in a mug, and these have become very, very popular because they make a single serving. If you're hungry for something a little sweet and you really don't want to bake a whole pan of brownies, or if you're trying to watch your calories and you know that you could stop after just one serving, brownie in a mug. And of course it has a zipper baggie inside that has been pre-mixed with all the ingredients, and then of course the directions are on the tag. And what I think is interesting about these, now you can go to the grocery store and find these already made. So you could even give a mug with a serving of the brownie in a mug or the cake in a mug, and wrap it up in the bag and add your bowl. And the instructions are already on those that you find in the grocery store. So as you can see, there's just a lot of shelf-stable items. There's a lot of possibilities in terms of giving gifts from the kitchen. I wanted to show, even now, they make a baking kit that you can purchase at the grocery store. And this would be a nice gift. This is for cinnamon rolls, and everything's pre-measured, and the instructions are included. So that would be a nice gift for someone that might enjoy. You could also give them some of the flavored butter to go with that as well, and put that in your basket for a gift. So just keeping in mind with whatever items that you give, it is so important to keep food safety in mind. It is key when giving gifts from the kitchen, and making sure that if you're giving a gift that has need for instructions, whether it be baking times or baking temperatures, that you always include that, because you don't want to leave it to chance that your recipient would know how to prepare that, and we want it to turn out just right. And don't forget, we do have the jam and jelly makers, we have the food dehydrators, we also have the water bath canners that are available for loan, as well as the resource materials. We also have publications that are canning series that have a lot of good recipes and a lot of good information about making your homemade gifts using the canning process. There are extension offices in every county in the state of Kentucky, and if you'll contact the extension office closest to you, I'm sure that they would be glad to help you find the information that you're looking for. Until next time, thank you for joining us.